Jeffrey Dahmer, a timeline of his murders, arrests and death from Dahmer's first arrest to his eventual capture and death. Here are the key moments from his 13-year reign of terror. Notorious serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer shocked the world when he was arrested in 1991, as much for the heinous crimes he committed against his victims, as for the fact that he killed 17 men and boys over more than 13 years without capture. Well-mannered, soft-spoken and pleasant in appearance, Dahmer barely escaped arrest on multiple occasions during his murderous spree, in which he lured men often on society's fringes back to his home, where he would kill and perform acts of necrophilia and cannibalism with their remains, often preserving body parts as mementos. Details of Dahmer's crimes were sourced from FBI files. June 1978, Dahmer kills his first victim. I always knew that it was wrong. The first killing was not planned, Dahmer told Inside Edition in 1993. I was coming back from the shopping mall back in '78. I'd had fantasies about picking up a hitchhiker, and taking him back to the house, and having complete dominance and control over him. The hitchhiker was 18-year-old Stephen Hicks, Dahmer's first victim. Dahmer took Hicks to his parents' house in Ohio, where he strangled and beat him with a barbell before dismembering the body and placing it in trash bags. No one had a clue as to what was happening for over a decade, Dahmer said of what would transpire following his first killing. Dahmer would not murder again until 1987. In the intervening years he had joined the army and was stationed for a time in Germany, eventually being discharged due to problems with excessive drinking. Of those 9 years without a victim, Dahmer said the urge was always there, what he lacked were the right circumstances. There just wasn't an opportunity to fully express what I wanted to do. There was just not the physical opportunity to do it then. September 1981, Dahmer returns to Ohio. Following a military discharge, Dahmer briefly returned to Ohio to live with his parents following his military discharge, but was arrested for drunk and disorderly conduct, for which he was fined and received a suspended jail sentence. Hoping his grandmother would be a tempering influence on their son's ongoing drinking, Dahmer's parents sent him to live with her in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. August 1982, Dahmer is arrested for indecently exposing himself at Wisconsin State Fair Park. Dahmer was convicted and fined $50. August 1986, he is charged with disorderly conduct, arrested for masturbating in front of 2 boys. Dahmer told authorities he was merely urinating. Charged with disorderly conduct, he was sentenced to 1 year of probation and to undergo counseling. September 1987, Dahmer kills his next victim, 9 years after his first. After taking Stephen Dahmer, 24, back to a hotel room, Dahmer says he awoke the following morning to find Dahmer dead alongside him in bed. Dahmer would later tell authorities he had only planned on drugging Dahmer and had no recollection of beating him to death with his fists. Placing the body in a suitcase, Dahmer transported it to his grandmother's basement, where, a week later, he dismembered it and placed it in the trash, except for the head, which he retained for a further week before boiling it in industrial detergent and bleach, eventually pulverizing the brittle skull. October 1987. Dahmer lures in another victim. Dahmer brought 14-year-old James Dockstader to the basement of his grandmother's house after promising him $50 in exchange for posing for nude photos. After drugging him, Dahmer strangled Dockstader, disposing of his body in similar fashion to that of Dahmer. March 1988, Dahmer meets his next victim outside a gay bar. Richard Guerrero met his killer outside a Milwaukee gay bar. Dahmer offered Guerrero $50 to return to his grandmother's house and spend the night with him. After drugging Guerrero with sleeping pills, Dahmer strangled him before performing sexual acts on the corpse. This time, Dahmer dismembered the body within 24 hours, but hiding his killings and the dismemberments was becoming increasingly difficult. September 1988, Dahmer is arrested for sexual assault. Dahmer's grandmother had become annoyed with his bringing men to her house late at night, and with the foul smells emanating from the basement, so she eventually told him to move out. Within days of securing a 1-bedroom apartment, Dahmer was arrested and charged with second-degree sexual assault and enticing a child for immoral purposes after luring 13-year-old Xen back to his apartment, where he drugged and molested the boy before his intended victim escaped, taking his story to the police. Dahmer spent a week in jail before being released on bail. March 1989, after killing his fifth victim, Dahmer begins to keep trophies. Aspiring model Anthony Sears, 24, became Dahmer's fifth victim after they met at a bar. Dahmer, fearing his apartment was being watched by the police, brought Sears to his grandmother's basement to be drugged and strangled. Sears was the first victim from whom Dahmer took trophies, storing and preserving Sears' head and genitals, which he kept in a wooden box. For a time, he stored the box in his work locker. Window.dicnf, function, /copyright the closure library authors. SPDX license identifier, Apache 2.0, use strict var a function type alpha object.define properties. Object.define property function a, b, cf array.prototype object.prototype return, a abc.value return a, function ba, a object type alpha global this and global this, a, object type alpha window and window, object type alpha self and self, object type alpha global and global, for var b0 bf f var ec.concat df. Split, eafe for var g0 g2, kbkn 34, pounds ln 15.6, hbh and 63. CF G K L HG0 HD switch A dot length E, case 2 G and E +1, HBG and 15 2 BA and 34 H D return C dot join, var function type E off, int 8 array const y symbol void 0, function a, object dot is frozen a, y? A y1 void 0 exclamation mark a dot g one object dot define properties a g value 1 configurable exclamation mark 0 writable exclamation mark 0 enumerable exclamation mark 1 return a function a return null. A and object type alpha and exclamation mark array dot is array and a dot constructor object let b varc object dot freeze a function d b c d exclamation mark 1 b and lay dot substring a dot length 7 a dot substring 0 a dot length 7 plus b plus and a plus b let jp dot dicnf spdx license identifier Apache 2.0, function ka, b, ca.add event listener and a.add event listener b, c, exclamation mark 1 functions a, b, ca.remove event listener and a.remove event listener b, c, exclamation mark 1, var, regexp, /hash, plus, // ant. // hash 09 plus // dollar hash plus hash s dollar functions a if global this dot crypto return math dot random triconstanua int 32 array 1 global this dot crypto dot get random values a return a 0/65536/65536 catch a, return math.random function b if a for const cn, a object.prototype has own property call a, cn b a c, a let l, const ba, const al l, for const b of a try b catch c, varc a, b complete a ready state interactive a ready state, l.push b, 1 liter length and window promise, promise.resolve. Then ba, window.set immediate, set immediate ba, set timeout ba, 0, a.add event listener dom content loaded, b, function da a document, return, A dot create element img, function ma, b, null ea, b, c function ea, b, c a dot google underscore image underscore requests a dot google underscore image underscore requests, const dda a dot document, if c, const face ence, zad load, f, zad error, f, kd, load, f, kd, error, fd.srcb semicolon a dot google underscore image underscore requests dot push d, let fa 0 semicolon function go a, null return, b and b dot get attribute data jc string a, b document dot query selector dollar data jc, dollar a, function na, ha numa, const bha dot ga dot key, if instantia of h return boolean type e of b, ba dot default value semicolon throw error, var na class constructor, this dot g, var class extends na constructor super, var gofa, document dot current script, a and a dot get attribute data jc flags, try const dot parse a, 0, a, for let, c0 semicolon cb, c dot length b semicolon return 3997 ba dot I dot length 1, function y, b, cbb plus / paged 2 dot google syndication.com plus c semicolon let div c dot length semicolon if 0 d return, a dot g dot sort function e, g return eg, null semicolon let f, for let e0 semicolon l dot length dl dot length semicolon b plus l semicolon fa dot I semicolon break nulk, gca, null, c and f plus tr and plus c, return b plus a class za constructor, this dot I and, this dot h, this dot j0 semicolon this dot g, function ya, var app, bq dot google underscore srt semicolon 0 b and a dot gb function, z, b, c, d, f, if, d, a dot g math dot random, varang, mn dot j plus plus semicolon co l, k, n dot g dot push m, n dot hmk, const hyg, a dot h, / paged / gen underscore 204 question mark id plus b plus and, h and undefined, type e alpha, mp, h, e, mp, h catch g, class $a constructor, this dot http, oa dot location dot protocol, http, https, this dot g math dot random, letter null semicolon varab, constab dot performance semicolon return, a and a dot now and a dot timing, math dot floor a dot now plus a dot timing dot navigation start, date dot now, bb, constab dot performance semicolon return a and a dot now, null, class cb constructor a, b var cbb ab, this dot label semicolon this dot type eb semicolon this dot value x semicolon this dot duration 0 semicolon this dot unique id math dot random, this dot slot height void 0, const tp dot performance, db, t and t dot mark and t dot measure and t dot clear marks, u function a, let b exclamation mark 1 comma c semicolon return function bk, b exclamation mark 0, return, c var a semicolon if adb, var b semicolon if null or, r, try a, try app dot top dot location dot hash catch c app dot location dot hash a and r ba dot match / /bd /d, plus slash, b1, catch c, br semicolon a, b dot index of and 0 math dot random, start a, b if, this dot g return null semicolon and uc b a, b, goog underscore $a dot label underscore $a dot unique id underscore start semicolon t and u and t dot mark b, return a and a, if this dot g and number type e alpha dot value a dot duration bb ab, a dot value semicolon var, goog underscore $a dot label underscore $a dot unique id underscore and semicolon t and u and t dot mark b, this dot g 2048 hbf, a, b dot apply c, e, d, Class JB constructor null this.ip semicolon this.null semicolon this.oath this.l semicolon this.ga semicolon this.j exclamation mark 1 pinger, return this.ila, b, c, d, fff jsurr, let e semicolon triconst news a semicolon var, gw semicolon g.g. push 1, g.h10 context, a, b.error and b.meta and b.id new pop b, message gbb, if b.message, gw semicolon var hb.message.substring 0,512, g.g. push 2, g.h20 message, h var kb.meta, bk semicolon if this.h try this.hb catch v if d try db catch v dw semicolon kk, d.g. push 3, d.h3k semicolon dp semicolon k, let s semicolon null semicolon do var ld semicolon try var n semicolon if n, l and null, l.location.ref try tl.foo, n exclamation mark 0 semicolon break b catch v, n exclamation mark 1 var, mn catch v, m exclamation mark 1 m, sl.location.ref, bl.document and l.document.referer null, sb, null, k.push nusa s, try dl.parent catch v null while d and l, d, for let v0, iac.length 1 semicolon v var bm, if a.m and a.has own property b, return a.m semicolon new a semicolon return a.mb, class kb constructor this.g, let p, v semicolon const window, new fb semicolon var, pounds q.google underscore measure underscore js underscore timing x.g exclamation mark 1 comma x.h, x.I.google underscore js underscore reporting underscore q and u and array.prototype.for each.call x.h, eb, void 0, x.h.length 0, up null, a new $a, number, type of q.google underscore srt and q.google underscore srt math.random, yeah, vnew jbx, v.hb var, c fa semicolon 0 exclamation mark cnb.jc string c, ga c, document.current script and c.get attribute data jc version, unknown, b.shvc, v.j exclamation mark 0, complete q.document.ready state, pounds, x.g and kq, load, pounds, var mba, b, c, diab a, b, c, d, function nb, var a, b semicolon const quindo semicolon fc.gmsdk null ac.webkit void 0 a question mark 0 colon a dot message handlers dot get gma signals return c semicolon triconst window dot parent semicolon if d dot gmsdk null bd dot webkit void 0 b question mark 0 colon b dot message handlers dot get gma signals return d catch d, return null, function ob a, b, c, d, constf string math.floor 2,147,483,647 z, let e0 semicolon const gh try var k object type e of h.data, h.datagson.parse h.data, fk.paw underscore id and window.clear timeout e, window.remove event listener message, g, k.signal, ck.signal, k.error and dk.error catch l, h message, post message error, l instantia off, error, l.message, non-error, data null.data, null, 500 gh, a.post message object.assign paw underscore f, b, uendo.set timeout, window.remove event listener message, g, dpaw gma post message timed out, 200, const pb frame, img, iframe, qb/01px, $/ function rba, return string type e of a, document.getElement by id a function, sba, return img, a.tag name, A dot complete A dot natural width and A dot natural height. QB dot test A dot get attribute width and QB dot test A dot get attribute height. 0. Function of A, B var C semicolon FR bay, CCM, Q, RM dot add event listener Q, R, var D exclamation mark 1 comma FM DD exclamation mark 0 comma BM, for var E 0 semicolon EK, KFG, Q and L, CM, load, R, Q and L plus comma CM, error. R null semicolon if 0k and exclamation mark A and complete P dot document dot ready state G5 semicolon else, if K. A, CP, load, F4, return FG, function VBA, const ba dot length semicolon let C0 semicolon return new ID of 0 BD, else const F, for let E0 semicolon EFEG semicolon plus CB and DF. Function WB, let A semicolon const new YCAC, return new XBB, a function bay, BF. A dot H if B instantia of YB dot then C bay, C, else A dot H exclamation mark 0 semicolon A dot ib semicolon for B0 semicolon B this, B then A, return new IBZB this, C B a C, var, ZB class constructor A. B this dot promisey semicolon this dot GB, var add new class constructor A, B exclamation mark 1 this dot ga semicolon this dot default value web 1959, varb class constructor, const A, this dot G, var B ab dot G, C ab dot default value semicolon return null. A B, C, function ZA, return WBB. G and A dot pre-rendering question mark 3, visible colon 1 comma hidden colon 2 comma pre-render colon 3 comma preview colon 4 comma unloaded colon 5 A dot visibility state A dot webkit visibility state A dot Moz visibility state 0 function, CBA, let B semicolon A dot visibility state, B visibility change, A dot Moz visibility state, B Moz visibility change, A dot webkit visibility state and B webkit visibility change, return B, function DBA, B return DA comma 2 comma B function EBA, B return DA comma 3 comma B function FBA, B return DA comma 4 comma B function GBA, B return DA comma 5 comma B function HBA, B return DA comma 9 comma B function EBA, B let C semicolon FB ca. For let D0 semicolon D var F semicolon return, HBGBFBFDBJ binu pounds, D dot platform, D dot platform version, D dot architecture, D dot model, D dot full version, D dot bitness, null FD dot full version list void 0F, void 0 colon F dot map var new MB semicolon GDG comma 1 comma E dot brand. Return DG, 2, E dot version, let null semicolon function QBA, BF, Google double click. // paged / view / dot test B, const CZA dot G, by B, and vistaller CA dot O dot then, 0A, B exclamation mark 0 semicolon try varson dot stringify G dot Hodgson, ra, break. Finally B exclamation mark 1 void 0 gh semicolon h, for var k0 comma l0 semicolon l8, hk plus ngf h comma 3, a dot gag, c and b dot push if n vasi and b, var d semicolon if null, nulk, void 0 colon null dc dot gmes dk, void 0 colon d dot get view signals var f semicolon if nulk, void 0 colon null fc dot gmes dk, void 0 colon f dot get view signals, a dot h ingres plus d else let e semicolon if null, nulk, void 0 colon null ec dot webkit, void 0 colon e dot message handlers dot get gma view signals let g semicolon ob nulk, void 0 colon null gc dot webkit, void 0 colon g dot message handlers dot get gma view signals, ha dot agent plus hj dot amianf new yea dot t, B.push F, if J.eberfena, const B.push E.promise, kglb.g.body, E.g3za.g and 3za.g and B.push SBA, A.of function SBA, return new YB const ccba.g, if C, var D3 exclamation mark za.g and za.g, C, D, B, PB and DPB 521, D, Ka.g, C, D, class, TB constructor, this.gp.document this.lp this.ennull this.his.j, rb this, fa40 pbmb window.void 492, function if j.eberfen, ia, and cbvp2, aa.replace and amp, and, qbwtb, a, void 0, void 0, window.vib 494, function, const.tb, if, a.I throw rave a.I, void 0, void 0, rp underscore account 10,348, rp underscore site 84,770, rp underscore zone size 807,688 15, rp underscore add type js, rp underscore page imps.get site, slf, id height 250 width 300 title third party ad content role region aria label advertisement tab index 0 data amp 3p sentinel 022528085984106646 allow sync xhr none. Frame border 0 allow full screen allow transparency scrolling no margin width 0 margin height 0 sandbox allow top navigation by user activation allow pop-ups to escape sandbox allow forms allow modals, allow pointer lock allow pop-ups allow same origin allow scripts class fill contented Google underscore ads underscore reframe underscore 9 style box sizing, border box, position, relative, border, 0px. Important, margin, 0px, padding top, 0px. Important, padding right, 0px. Important, padding bottom, 20px, padding left, 0px. Important, display, block, height, 250px, max height, 100%, max width, 100%, minutes height, 0px, minutes width, 0px, width, 300px, inset, 0px 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 150px, transform, translate -50%, -50%, May 1989. Dahmer is sentenced to 12 months in jail with work release sentenced to 12 months of jail time and 5 years of probation for second-degree sexual assault. Dahmer was permitted work release in order to keep his job as a mixer at Ambrosia Chocolate Factory, while also being required to register as a sex offender. Paroled from jail 2 months early, Dahmer rented an apartment at 924 North 25th Street in Milwaukee. May 1990, shortly after his release, Dahmer kills again just months after being released from jail. Dahmer killed Raymond Smith, a 32-year-old prostitute he had offered $50 for sex. After drugging Smith at his North 25th Street apartment, Dahmer strangled him with his hands before taking Polaroid pictures of the corpse in suggestive poses. Dismembering the body in his bathroom, Dahmer boiled the remains, dissolving them in a container of acid except for Smith's skull, which he kept in a cabinet alongside Sears' skull. When neighbors complained of the smell emanating from his apartment, Dahmer told them his refrigerator was broken and he was waiting to get it fixed. June 1990, Dahmer kills again and attempts to preserve the body after killing 27-year-old Edward Smith. Dahmer attempted to retain the body by keeping it in a freezer for several months. The frozen corpse was eventually discarded, with Dahmer telling authorities he was upset he did not get to keep any of Smith's body parts due to degradation in the freezer. September 1990, Dahmer claims 2 more victims, but deviates from his previous methods. Ernest Miller, 22, had his throat slashed after being promised money to join Dahmer at his apartment. A lack of sleeping pills forced Dahmer to change his method of killing. Dahmer kept parts of Miller's body to eat, something he was doing increasingly, and he painted and displayed Miller's head in his apartment. 3 weeks later, Dahmer killed 22-year-old David Thomas. Later, he said he came to realize during their encounter that he was not attracted to Thomas, but he still drugged and killed him, then disposed of his body, intentionally not keeping any parts. February 1991, a 10th victim is murdered. Dahmer picked up 17-year-old Curtis Straughter at a bus stop, offering him money in exchange for nude photos. Dahmer continued his rituals with his 10th victim, offers of cash to a stranger, drugging and strangling his victim before taking photos, dismembering and keeping body parts for cannibalism and trophies. Following his arrest, Dahmer said eating his victims was a compulsion, a way of making me feel they were a part of me. April 1991, Dahmer attempts to put a victim into a zombie-like state after drugging 19-year-old Errol Lindsey. Dahmer drilled a hole in his skull, into which he poured hydrochloric acid in an attempt to produce what Dahmer would describe as a zombie-like state in his victim. Lindsey regained consciousness before Dahmer drugged him further, and then strangled him and flayed the corpse with the intention of retaining Lindsey's skin. May 1991, he narrowly escapes capture. Dahmer's next victim, 31-year-old Anthony Hughes, was dead, but still intact on the floor when he lured 14-year-old Konarak Synthasophone to his North 25th Street apartment. After photographing and drugging Synthasophone, Dahmer again tried to render his victim brain dead by drilling into his skull and inserting acid, leaving the drugged body alongside Hughes' corpse while he left the apartment for a few hours. Returning in the early hours of the following morning, Dahmer discovered a groggy Synthasophone sitting outside the apartment building with 3 women huddled around him. Telling the women Synthasophone was his friend, Dahmer attempted to lead the boy back to the apartment to the dismay of the women, who informed Dahmer they had already called the police. Dahmer eventually convinced attending police that Synthasophone was his 19-year-old boyfriend and that they had quarreled after drinking too much. Amid protests from the women, the officers escorted Dahmer and Synthasophone back to the apartment, where Dahmer produced the Polaroids he had taken earlier as proof of their relationship. Categorizing the event as a domestic dispute, the 3 officers left Synthasophone with Dahmer in the apartment, which they noted had a strange odor. Dahmer once again drilled Synthasophone's head and injected it with acid, this time with fatal results. By coincidence, Synthasophone was the younger brother of the boy Dahmer had molested in 1988, a crime for which he was convicted, though according to Dahmer, he had no idea of their connection. After dismembering their bodies, Dahmer kept the skulls of both Hughes and Synthasophone. June 1991, Dahmer lures in another victim with the promise of a photo shoot. Dahmer met 20-year-old Matthew Turner in Chicago and persuaded him to travel to Milwaukee for a photo shoot. Once again, Dahmer drugged, strangled and dismembered his victim, keeping the head and internal organs in plastic bags in his freezer. July 7 to 19, 1991, 3 more victims are killed. Choosing another victim from Chicago, Dahmer promised Jeremiah Weinberger, 20, a weekend away at his apartment in Milwaukee. Dahmer did not commit the murder until the day following their arrival, when Weinberger voiced his intention to leave. Days later, after agreeing to pose nude, 24-year-old Oliver Lacey accompanied Dahmer back to his apartment, where Lacey was drugged and then administered chloroform over the course of a day in an attempt to render him alive, but unconscious. After strangling Lacey, Dahmer had sex with the corpse, storing the head and heart in the refrigerator and the skeleton in a freezer. Jeffrey Dahmer killed 17 young men and boys, then defiled their corpses in unspeakable ways. July 22, 1991, Dahmer's killing spree comes to an end. To Milwaukee, police officers were flagged down by an agitated man with handcuffs attached at one wrist. Tracy Edwards, 32, told the officers a freak had placed the handcuffs on him and that he had spent the better part of the evening trying to escape from a nearby apartment where he was being held captive. Dahmer had met Edwards earlier that day, and persuaded him to accompany him to his apartment. Upon entering, Edwards immediately noticed a foul smell and stacked boxes of hydrochloric acid. Dahmer had tried to place handcuffs on Edwards, succeeding only in fastening one wrist before he brandished a knife, pulling Edwards toward the bedroom where Dahmer said he intended to take nude pictures, continually repeating he was Dahmer's friend. Edwards waited until his captor had a lapse of concentration, whereupon he punched Dahmer in the face. In the confusion, Edwards fled through the front door, eventually flagging down the police car. Upon their arrival at his apartment, Dahmer invited the attending officers inside, admitting it was he who had placed the handcuffs on Edwards and that the keys were in his nightstand. On entering the bedroom, one officer noticed a partially open drawer filled with Polaroid pictures of numerous bodies in differing states of dismemberment. Brandishing the images, the officer returned to the living room, reportedly saying to his partner, "These are for real." Seeing the images, Dahmer attempted to escape, but was quickly subdued by police, who immediately called for assistance. When authorities opened Dahmer's refrigerator door, they found the severed head of a black male on the bottom shelf. Authorities would discover 4 other severed heads in Dahmer's kitchen, 2 human hearts in the refrigerator, 7 skulls in Dahmer's bedroom, as well as an entire human torso in his freezer. Further investigation at the apartment would reveal preserved sexual organs, 2 entire skeletons, severed hands and a further 3 torsos submerged in acid. Asked following his arrest if he was glad it was over, Dahmer stated he was not glad, that he liked his lifestyle and found it exciting and thrilling, according to FBI files. When authorities asked Dahmer if it would be possible to lead a normal life if he were ever released, the murderer responded that the best place for him was prison, because if he ever got out, he would go right back to